Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to HIMediaTV, and welcome back to I'm your host from HIMediaTV, and welcome back to another chapter of my little black book. Today I want to talk about Jimmy Kimmel, and censorship, and media priorities. So, Jimmy Kimmel, of Jimmy Kimmel Live, ABC, I believe, recently quoted some of the heinous stuff that Charlie Kirk has said. Very milquetoast, very light, very offensive or risque jokes about Charlie Kirk. Not even really making jokes about Charlie Kirk himself, more like quoting the things he said to make fun of Donald Trump. And the response of this was ABC canceling Jimmy Kimmel because the chairman of the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, said we might have to investigate ABC for that despicable behavior. Let's be very clear what this is. It is ABC absolutely could fight this and win this in court. Not only would they win, it would be a resounding victory. Outside of the most sycophantic MAGA judges, this is a slam dunk case. Even the Supreme Court wouldn't, necessarily, side with them. I mean, but then again, they have overturned 50 years of precedent for the purposes of political victories for the person that got most of the people that are issues in question into office. So where does that leave, right? So I think that ABC doing this is multifaceted. I think, yes, there is a, willingness to capitulate to the authoritarian Trump regime. That goes without question. I also think that, especially with the NBC stuff of them allowing a merger that, let's be real, would never happen, ever, under any other, administration or presidency, it's very pertinent, honestly. The continued consolidation of American companies into more and more monopolistic entities, or at the very least duopolistic, is obvious. Yesterday we covered a new quote-unquote collaboration by NVIDIA and Intel, where NVIDIA bought $5 billion worth of stock of Intel. And I noted in that video yesterday in High Media Headlines that, let's be frank, this is most likely the lead-up to a eventual merger or acquisition of Intel by NVIDIA. Lastly, I think that this is probably the most pragmatic thing, which is late night shows are not popular anymore. They are not the juggernauts that they used to be, and they are not profitable. They are not as anywhere near as culturally significant as they used to be, and they are culturally insignificant the older the demographics get. Every year that goes by, the age of people the minimum age of people that consume late night television gets lower and gets higher and higher and higher. Most of us, myself included, do not consume these stuff. I might have consumed the errant late show with Stephen Colbert during the first Trump administration, but I'm going to be frank, I haven't seen a single clip from those shows in multiple years. And Stephen Colbert's Late Show was the most profitable. It was the most popular. It was the most culturally significant out of the big late night shows. I personally thought that the order of things that would get banned or that would get canceled in turn was The Late Late Show with Jeremy Corbyn, which was canceled some number of years ago. Then Jimmy Kimmel Live. Then Late Night with Seth Meyers. Then The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. And then Colbert. But that's not what happened. Colbert went first. And the fact that NBC was willing to throw Colbert under the bus in that regard tells me that, everybody else is just a ticking time bomb. All that needs to happen is, Seth Meyers or Jimmy Fallon making a risque joke at the expense of the Trump administration, and I would not be surprised in the slightest if their shows got canceled subsequently, which it makes business sense. But I genuinely believed that these shows had at least another 5 to 10 years before they went the way of the dodo. This acceleration of them getting canceled is just pure capitulation to authoritarianism. Now, people have been hyper-fixated on Jimmy Kimmel's show getting canceled and things of that nature, which is, reasonable. It is a flagrant, FU in the face of freedom of speech, but it also is indicative of media's priorities. For those who are unaware, not only a handful of days ago were two 21-year-old men in Mississippi lynched. Like it's fucking 1960-something. And this has not been covered in the slightest by anyone outside of independent and or left, further to the left wing news outlets. This just goes to show that, these giant media companies will make the choices that lead to the capitulation to the worst people on the worst aspects of the administration. The people under them, within reason of the mandates that they've been given, will lambast that decision without being anywhere too critical of, the companies themselves. And because because they do not want to deal with the uncomfortable truths about the increased amount of racism and bigotry existing in this country, they completely ignore the fact that 2 black kids were lynched in Mississippi. Or the same day Charlie Kirk got shot, there was another school shooting. And this really does come down to editorial choice, fundamentally, at the end of the day. There is ostensibly no independent media in this country anymore. Unless you are watching exactly Kyle Kulinski and maybe a handful of other smaller YouTubers, realistically, independent media in this country has been completely captured by the right. Even, the largest and most influential left-wing outlet, the Young Turks, has pretty resoundingly gone to the right for financial reasons. Gas leak theory is real. We are living in an era of rampant authoritarianism, and, similar to how the Weimar Republic's business leaders capitulated to the Nazis almost immediately because fascists are more than happy to work with big businesses and capital in general. We are existing in a very dangerous time, but you don't need me to tell you that. You have 2 eyes and a brain. You can see that yourself. From here, I couldn't tell you. I don't know what to do. I think we're fucking cooked. But we persist. Ladies and gentlemen, this is another chapter closed on my little black book. I thank you so much for listening to me yap. If you liked this episode, you can listen to other episodes of many of our other podcasts at HIMedia.gg/pod. And if you are so inclined, you can go to HIMedia.gg/tip and subscribe to our HIMediaTV monthly and get a slew of awesome perks serviced through our Discord. it is a huge boon. Otherwise, continue listening to our episodes. Those are the only ad, things that I have. As much as I love my YouTube and I want my YouTube to get monetized, that motherfucker ain't getting monetized any damn way soon. So we'll see. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to Little Black Book. I have been Evan from HIMediaTV, and I will see you guys next time.